Hello! Today we're talking about how to set up goals and resolutions in a way that makes success inevitable. Let's get started. Well, lots of people set goals and resolutions, but only a few actually manage to accomplish them. So in this video, we're going to discuss the main obstacles and mistakes, and I'm going to give you some suggestions to set up your goals in a way that makes achieving them inevitable. Successful people don't simply set goals. They set them up in a way that almost guarantees success. They basically set them up using systems, without even realizing probably, that make sure that they achieve them. Unfortunately, there are definitely more people who don't achieve their goals than the ones who do. And why is that? So in this video, we're going to list 10 typical mistakes and obstacles and challenges, and I will suggest a few ways to fix them. Let's start with problem number 1, which is unrealistic goals. Now, the problem here is that your goals may be too ambitious or too vague, making them unattainable. I want to be the next US president is probably too ambitious. I want to progress my career is just too vague. So what is the solution here? The solution is to set your goals using the so-called SMART framework. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So a goal that could be, I want to lose weight, which just ticks a couple of those letters really, should become, I want to lose 10 kilos by June, which ticks all the letters. Another suggestion is to start with smaller, more achievable steps to build confidence. I keep repeating the same thing on this on this channel. The winning mentality is created by having a long stream of small victories. So start with something that you can achieve easily. You can engineer your list to make sure that your first goals are easy to achieve, so you can build confidence to tackle more complex tasks further down the line. And if you can, also try to explain how you will progress towards your goal. If you want to lose 10 kilos, how are you going to do that? You're going to eat less, you're going to exercise more, you're going to chop an arm off. Try to be clear in your mind around your approach to get to that goal. The second problem is lack of motivation, which may be a bit surprising because it's your list of goals and resolutions that we're talking about. So you've wrote that list and now you lack motivation. But it is a very common problem. The problem is that the initial excitement fades and that leads to a loss of interest. What is the solution here? Well, first of all, you'll be surprised by how short the task list of successful people are. And this is because they only put on those lists things that are important to them and they really want to work on, they really want to achieve. So whatever you put on your list, make sure that you actually want to work on them. This sounds strange, but if you think about it, sometimes we put stuff on our to-do list, on our list of goals or resolutions, just because they feel right. Maybe we think that we should do them, maybe because our friends do these things and so on, but we're not really committed. I can, from my perspective, I can't even tell you how many times I put on my list of resolutions that I wanted to lose weight. I was never really committed. So the thing here is that instead of clogging your list with stuff that you don't really want to do, just revisit your why, revisit your reasoning, and remind yourself of the benefits of doing something. And only put things on the list if you're serious about them. And by the way, having items that you never cross off your list is actually detrimental to your self-esteem. So the thing that I said before about building the winning mindset, putting stuff on the list that you know that you'll never complete just ruins that winning mentality. Because every time you look at your list and you see stuff that you haven't completed, your mind will form a picture of you as an underachiever. And that's not good. So avoid doing that and only put stuff on your list of goals that you actually want to work on. Problem 3 is not having a clear plan. Now, this kind of relates to the first point that we made. The problem is that your goals are probably not broken into actionable steps, or, and this is very important, you don't control the outcome. So saying, I want to find a new job is meaningless. You don't even say where you want to find it. Is that a McDonald's? Is that a Google? I want to find a new job as product manager for Apple Notes by June. Looks better, it's more precise, but more specific. But in reality, it's not that better because it's completely outside of your control. It is only Apple that can decide whether they need a new product manager and whether that person is you. I want to send 100 CVs to my target companies by February is a better goal because you control it. But there is still something missing, and what is missing is a plan. So Transforming your goal into a series of actionable steps is what you need to do. You need to create a step-by-step plan with some milestones. And then you can schedule tasks and maybe set reminders to stay on track. So an example of how you break down this goal into actionable steps could be, and this is just an example, on day 1, you update your CV. On day 2, you write a generic template letter. On day 3, you gather your references. On day 4, you identify your target companies. And on day 5, you send 5 CVs with personalized cover letters. On day 6, you send another 5. On day 7, another 5, and so on until you reach to 100 CVs. Now, this doesn't guarantee that you find a new job, because that's outside of your control. But at least your goal of sending 100 CVs, which was entirely in your control, you've completed. And good luck with finding that new job. Next problem is overcommitment, which is very typical, especially with New Year's resolution, or every time you come back from a holiday refreshed and recharged and you want to tackle too many things at once. A problem is that trying to achieve too many goals at once leads to dissatisfaction, burnout, and as we said earlier, it makes achieving other goals more difficult as it impairs your self-esteem. So, what's the solution here? The solution is to stack your goals. I already described the process of cascading your goals in this video, which I recommend you watch. But in addition to what I say in that video, I would say focus on 1 to 3 meaningful goals at a time. Prioritize your tasks and say no to activities that don't align with those goals. Because not working on distracting goals is just as important as working on the important ones. Next problem, it's a very common problem, is procrastination. Procrastination means delaying action due to maybe fear of failure or feeling overwhelmed or maybe not knowing where to start. So, what are the solutions? Well, I would say the first thing to do is to start with the easiest tasks so you can build momentum. That winning mindset that we described earlier on is built on a long stream of small victories. So start with the easiest thing to do and build momentum that way. Then you can use some time management techniques, such as the Pomodoro method, where you set a timer for 20 minutes and then you have a 5 minutes break, or maybe habit stacking, where you try to start a new thing while you do something that is already a habit for you. But I would say the most important suggestion, which is probably the one that sounds like the simplest, is to get started, even for the most daunting tasks. If you tell yourself that you're only going to be working on that thing for 10 minutes and then you are allowed to drop it, chances are you're going to be doing 10 minutes and then another 10 and maybe half an hour without even realizing. Also, I would say don't wait for the next something to get started. Don't say, I'll start this thing next year or maybe next month or on my next birthday. There are just a few things that require you to wait for a specific date. So in the vast majority of cases, there is no need to wait for any special event to get started. And remember that action spurs motivation. You don't have to wait to be motivated to do things. You can start doing things and motivation will follow. Next problem is perfectionism. It's very linked to the previous one and probably just as common. It's the fear of making mistakes that prevents any progress. And the solution is quite simple when you think about it. And it is to embrace the mindset that done is better than perfect. Achieving something is way better than just thinking or dreaming about it. And even the most successful people have made and probably keep making mistakes. The only man who never makes a mistake is the man who never does anything, said Theodore Roosevelt. And he was right. So, get started. Just allow some room for mistakes and maybe treat them as learning opportunities. Sometimes mistakes are an opportunity to do something else. Bob Ross, the famous painter, used to say, "We don't make mistakes, we just have happy accidents." Next is lack of accountability. This is especially a problem for personal goals, because really no one is monitoring progress, so it's easy to give up. So what's the solution to that? Well, first of all, as we said earlier on, make sure you enjoy working on those goals so that you don't give up that easily. But also, share your goals with a friend, with your partner, or maybe with an accountability partner. Talk about your goals, make them public, maybe join a group or a community with similar goals. And I can tell you from my personal experience, the time I was most successful at being on a diet was when I had a group of friends who were dieting during the same period. So we shared our goals and we kept talking about our successes, our struggles, and our strategies. And being on a diet felt way easier because, it was a public commitment that I had made and I didn't give up that easily. The next problem is a bit of a strange one, but it happens quite a lot, and this is forgetting goals. Now, it sounds strange, but there are lots of occasions where goals are set, maybe even in detail, and then they are simply ignored. So my solution to this would be to write down your goals and place them somewhere very visible. Think of a big whiteboard. And also maybe create and use a very visible tracker. I suggest placing it on the wall instead of keeping it, for example, on your phone, because you need to see it ideally every day. And then the other suggestion would be to set some regular reminders, maybe at the end of each week, to review and reflect on your progress. And as soon as you find yourself deviating from where you should be, you should try and understand why and try and fix it for the following week. Next problem, no immediate rewards. The problem here is that, especially with long-term goals, they lack instant gratification. And this leads to boredom. So what is the solution? Well, first of all, break goals into smaller milestones, which will give you more variety, but also will give you more occasions to celebrate. In my video about the Cascade Planner, I've mentioned monthly goals. And I do believe a month is a good time frame to allow you to reach big, meaningful goals without being too long and too boring. Second suggestion, very important, celebrate achievements to stay motivated. Go out for dinner, have a little trip, have a drink with one of your friends, do whatever you can do to celebrate those goals. And this is easier if you've shared your goals, as we said in the previous point, with someone else. The next point is very important. And as we said at the beginning, the winning mentality, that winning mindset, is built on a stream of small victories. So break your monthly goals into chunks that can be successfully completed in a single day. You need to almost engineer your list of daily goals in a way that almost guarantees that you complete them in a given day. And that will give you lots of occasions and lots of possibilities to build that winning mindset. The next problem is unforeseen challenges, deviations, and derailments. The problem here is that maybe you set up your goals brilliantly and then life gets in the way. Life events, unexpected difficulties, they can derail progress. And the solution really is simple. Be flexible and adjust your goals as needed. There is no way that maybe in January you can plan your entire year. You should have a sense of direction, but you need to preserve the flexibility to change things along the way, either because of problems or simply because you've changed your mind. So be flexible and adjust your goals along the way. Also, and this is something we touched on earlier on, treat setbacks, treat these deviations as temporary things, and just refocus on the next step, which may be what you're going to do tomorrow. Sometimes, and this really depends on the goal, it might be better to maybe sacrifice some features in order to meet a deadline. What I mean by that is that, as we said at the beginning, very often done is better than perfect. So, for example, if you're a musician and your goal was to record an entire album with 12 songs by June, but it's now the end of June and you're late with one of your songs, it could be a better idea to release the album with only 11 songs instead of delaying it in order to have the 12th song ready for it. Now, for more information on how to cascade your goals and resolutions, check out this video. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you very much for watching and see you soon.